welcome to the Do Not Disturb Football Podcast. We were just live on TikTok a few moments ago, ran into some technical issues. This is our first show live on TikTok and YouTube at the same time, something we've been trying to do here. It looks like it's a success so far. There has been some things we ran into. I'm sure there might be some more technical issues. Just bear with us. Still fairly a new show. Let's get into how we're doing. I know, Darren, you were just recovering from the stomach flu, and your wife had that yesterday. Are you feeling better today?
Yeah, we this morning still kind of felt like a wreck, but definitely getting better as the day goes on. Definitely was at like 80%, now feeling about 90. So just buzzing to be back on with the boys since missing yesterday.
And Nimmer, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. It's pumpkin season. I love the fall. I love all the pumpkin flavors. It's football season. What more can you ask for? We just had pumpkin ice cream from Trader Joe's. Oh my god. It is probably my favorite ice cream that I've had. It was so good. So just love this season. I'm gonna try to stock up on it in July. I must still have pumpkin ice cream.
Yeah, it's starting to feel like fall here in Pittsburgh. So I've noticed a couple of leaves starting to change. It'll be my first like actual fall, and I don't even know like in a long time. So I'm really excited for that. We're going to a pumpkin patch this weekend actually, so that'll be fun too.
Oh, how cute!
Yeah. Let's get into the injury report. So, if you are on TikTok, you may have already heard the injury report. We will not be going to the fantasy MVP right now.
Yeah,
but
sorry, wrong button.
yeah, you're fine. I'm trying to get through the injury report a little faster. If you missed yesterday's injury report, I'm not talking about those today. Go back to yesterday's episode 12, and just tune into the injury report if you're really interested in that. Let's get into it real quick. Cardinals wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. is questionable with a quad injury. Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase is questionable with a shoulder injury. Their right tackle also is out for the season with a torn patella tendon. Denver wide receiver Josh Reynolds is questionable with an Achilles injury. Packers wide receiver Jaden Reed is questionable with a calf injury. Both Packers tight ends are dealing with injuries and are questionable. That goes for Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave. Texans tight end Dalton Schultz is questionable with an ankle injury. Texans wide receiver Tank Dell is questionable with a rib injury. Jaguars wide receiver Gabe Davis and Evan Ingram are both questionable for week 4. Chargers tight end Hayden Hurst is questionable with an Achilles injury. Saints running back Alvin Kamara is questionable with a rib injury. And 49ers tight end George Kittle is questionable with a hamstring injury. Also, I just saw this one before the show started. Buccaneers running back Bucky Irving is questionable with a hamstring injury. Also, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are both questionable. So we'll see how things go with that. I'm assuming I haven't heard a ton about it. I'm assuming they'll be fine, but I guess we'll see where it goes. Definitely, if you have any of those guys on your fantasy team, keep a lookout for them. We wish all of them a speedy recovery as always. So our first story of the day, this is about Trayvon Diggs versus Malik Nabers. So this is kind of a older story, really. This kind of sparked in the summertime, I think around June. They are matching up tomorrow in the Thursday night game. Giants at Dallas, I believe. Or is it the other way around? Not sure.
At New York.
Yeah.
Oh, it's in New York. Okay, so Dallas at New York. There was an interview in the summertime where someone asked Malik Nabers who he can't wait to go up against. And Malik Nabers, without a hesitation, answered Trayvon Diggs. Trayvon Diggs took that video and made this hype video where Malik Nabers says Trayvon Diggs, and it goes to Trayvon Diggs highlights, and it's playing this very intense music, and it's like there's UFC sounds where like a knockout happens, and it's Joe Rogan going crazy like, oh, did you see that? And Trayvon Diggs is like making all these plays. But there's also, I was trying to find who was saying this in the background, some UFC fighter. I couldn't figure out who it was, but he's saying whoever he's talking about, it doesn't, this is pointed towards Malik Neighbors. He's saying he's not an elite striker. I think I can knock him out.
Ooh.
And then the video ends. And Neighbors responded to that with a tweet with a coffin emoji. And Diggs tweeted, I think just recently, the Giants have been getting the belt for some years now. Who wins this matchup tomorrow? I'm very excited to watch this game just because of this. Who wins this matchup tomorrow night? One, who wins the matchup between the Giants and the Cowboys? Two, who wins the matchup one-on-one between Trayvon Diggs and Malik Neighbors? Darian, I'll start with you.
This one's kind of tough for me. Just watching Dallas back-to-back couple of weeks have been pretty rough for them. The massive loss to the Saints, and then first half against Baltimore looked pretty abysmal until like the second half, and Dak was kind of gathering the pieces and making things happen. But I don't know. It should be a really interesting matchup with what's on the line. I do think that Dallas is the better team, and I do think that they do come on top. But when it comes to the matchup against Diggs and Neighbors has been exciting the past couple of weeks. I mean, he's living up to being that top 6 pick in the draft. I mean, a lot of folks drafted him in the mid rounds this year, being their wide receiver 2, most likely in their lineups, and he's showing proof why he's there and deserves to be there. So I think it's going to be a pretty even keeled matchup at first. Diggs has years on him. He's a vet, showing him the works of being a vet against a rookie. But I think Neighbors does sneak out at least with one touchdown because Daniel Jones is favoring him pretty heavy right now.
Nimmer, what are your thoughts on this matchup tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, Darren kind of said it best. I think that it's going to be. I think Malik Neighbors is the number 1 PPR wide receiver leading into week 4. So I think the Giants really found a way to get him the ball number 1 and get Daniel Jones comfortable. I know in Hard Knocks they really mentioned trying to get him more time. And so I think that they have done that within the past 4 weeks. However, I really don't think that they really played anybody too scary, their defense to be really scary. Now, granted, the Browns' defense is really good, or was really good, but due to a bunch of injuries and whatnot, they did not look good. I mean, within the past 4 weeks. So I think that with all this criticism that Dallas has been getting, I think that Dallas wins. Now, will Malik Neighbors go for 4 or 5 catches, 80-something yards, maybe throw in a TD? Yeah, probably. He's not going to have like a Jennings type of game, but I think that he's still going to be involved in the offense, especially because that offense runs through him. So I think that he's going to have a good game, but I don't think that the Giants come out on top.
Yeah. I think it sounds like we're all picking Malik Neighbors to win this one-on-one matchup with Trayvon Diggs. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think Malik Neighbors is going to win this matchup. If he gets a touchdown, I think that counts as a win. If he gets 80 yards, like Nimmer just said, I think that's a win. I think when you watch Malik Neighbors play, it's pretty interesting. He reminds me a lot of Jamar Chase. Mm-hmm. He's almost like a clone of Jamar Chase. Breaks tackles, is really good after the catch, has great speed and acceleration when he has the ball in his hands, runs really good routes. I'm really excited to watch this game. I probably wouldn't be normally excited to watch the Giants versus the Cowboys, but because of this whole storyline with Trayvon Diggs and Malik Neighbors, I'm definitely tuning in to the game tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see. I think the Cowboys probably win just because they should. And for Trayvon Diggs saying the Giants have been getting the belt for some years
Yeah,
now.
that's
If
wild.
that's the only team you're giving the belt to, Trayvon, then way to go, I guess. Sad news out of Denver today. Broncos linebacker Alex Singleton tears his ACL and is out for the season. He was the leading tackler so far for this year. I believe he was the leading tackler for the Broncos last year. And I think the year before that, he might have been the leading tackler again or was one of the top tacklers on the team. This sucks. I feel like there's some people in Denver that watch Singleton and they see his like tackle stats and they think he's like overrated because he's just making all the tackles, and we've seen kind of linebackers that make a bunch of tackles and can't cover people in pass coverage. I think as Bronco fans, we're gonna see exactly how important he is for this defense. Sucks. It sucks. You never want to see that. Did you guys have any reactions to this injury?
I think it was just crazy that he tore his ACL in the first quarter and then played 3 quarters um, after he went. And then I think I saw the post game interview with Sean Payton, and he was like, "Yeah, he was ready to go another game." It's like that's crazy. Just the grit in this guy is just insane.
The heart, the grit.
It's
We
insane.
love that for him.
Yeah, exactly. And especially because the Broncos defense has been doing pretty well this year. So it sucks for you guys, especially after a big win like that, losing your best defender. But I hope he gets a speedy recovery, and can't wait to see him next year.
Who's the backup? Is it Drew Sanders? I know he was hurt too.
He's hurt.
Season. Yeah.
They just signed Quan Alexander today. So maybe he's nice.
Yeah, I mean, I loved him when he was with the Bucks.
Yeah, I don't know what it looks like, but not a bad pickup. Harbaugh, that is not Jim Harbaugh for the Chargers. Who's the one in Baltimore? What's his first name?
John.
You have John and Jim.
So Jim Harbaugh for the Chargers. He talked to the media today about his disappointment with the Derwin James suspension. He said, according to ESPN, there was not a defensive player that changed his course. And I think that Derwin's helmet was stiff-armed by Mr. Freiermuth. I thought the stiff arm caused his head to make contact and thought the contact was with the forearm first, then the shoulder, then the head. So he is a little disappointed in this suspension. I would imagine anyone would be going up against the Super Bowl champions this upcoming week. And there's a lot of speculation that Herbert might not play either with the injuries that he's dealing with right now. So looks like this Chiefs team they're catching a lot of breaks so far. It's just been nonstop breaks for them. What are your guys' reactions to Harbaugh's comments? Darian, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, it is disappointing when one of your best defensive players gets suspended for illegal contact or continual illegal contacts to the head. I mean, it is frustrating on that part. But I kind of want to pivot and change it to my little rage cage moment. I know I missed out on it yesterday. I mean, if Derwin James is catching a suspension, the guy for the Saints who laid a lick on Devontae Smith when he was already losing forward progression was being held up by 2 defenders. And then when Devontae was on the ground, he stood up and spit on Devontae. And he's not getting a suspension or a fine. I think this is misplaced. I think they're just going after a big name in that regard. But I think if you're going to dish one suspension out, you got to dish it out to the guy who it was a little bit more blatant and a little bit more dirty, I would say, than Derwin James. So I agree with Coach Harbaugh. I'd be frustrated. I'd be disappointed, especially when you're going up against the top competition in your conference or division, I should say.
Yeah, Nimmer, we talked about this yesterday. What are your reactions to what Harbaugh said?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to look back at the clip just to see, like, if see what actually happened, if he actually stiff armed him and put it like drove his head into his own head. But yeah, I just think it's unfortunate. You never want to see a player get suspended, not get a game check or anything like that. And especially like the Chargers are what 2-1, right?
Yeah.
So they're second in their division right now, and then it just takes a couple games in order to get into the playoffs, especially with the AFC looking as it is. So a big game like this would really projectile them into the playoffs, set them up really good into the playoffs. So I mean, it is very disappointing, but when you go up against the Chiefs, you're gonna have to beat them in a couple different ways. So.
Yeah, we kind of talked about it yesterday, Darian. I was saying maybe the hit on Devontae doesn't looks a little more dirty because Devontae's kind of small in stature and Freiermuth is much bigger. What are your thoughts?
Could make sense, but still, when you see two of your other defensive players already have guy wrapped up, pushing him 5 yards back just to lay a lick for no reason, it doesn't make any sense. Like, there wasn't any more forward progression. He wasn't trying to make a secondary move. He covered the ball up, was being tackled. Like, it doesn't matter how big you are. I mean, yeah, what his nickname is, the Slim Reaper. So what? Doesn't matter. Like, you see that going forward, you don't make that hit. That's just that's negligence.
But as a rookie, and you have to like you're being taught to play to the whistle. You know what I mean? I feel like that should more be the ref's fault for not blowing the whistle if he's getting pushed back 5 yards. Because what happens is they're like, oh, okay, I pushed him back 5 yards, the play is dead, and then all of a sudden he slips around, and then it's ESPN top 10. You know what I mean? So. Yeah. Especially if you really look at the games, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but I mean yesterday, when somebody's like about to go on the ground, the other defender like pretty much stops, like lands on top of them, or things like that. So there's always that like chippiness that you want to make sure that they're present, that you're present and stuff like that. So that was kind of my argument. I didn't think it was dirty per se. I didn't know the whole spitting on him. That probably would change my opinion. That would be insane. But and he definitely should get fined. I'm not saying that. But as a rookie, I feel like he doesn't have a past. So I feel like that's why the Charger safety got suspended, because he's had a past of head-to-head contact and stuff like that. So yeah, that was my kind of point. But I get it. Like, as you know, when we played rugby or even in football, like you play until the whistle is blown, and you're taught that from Pee Wee all the way up. I'm sure to the NFL, especially the way the Eagles have been playing. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I said it yesterday. I think that the point where Devontae's feet are going back for more than 3 or 4 yards, that should be the point where you're like, okay, I'm not going to ram my head right into this dude's helmet. Like,
I'd do it for like the strip. I'd punch.
Yeah, exactly.
Do something like that to cause a turnover.
It was like a full spear or dive, like right into Devontae's helmet, knocking his helmet off. I feel like we haven't seen a hit like that in the NFL for a while, to be honest.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the games coming up this weekend. We have quite a few good matchups. I'll list a couple of them. So we talked about the Cowboys-Giants. We also have the Packers versus the Vikings. There's maybe a chance Jordan Love is going to play. That'll be an interesting game if he does play. Saints versus Falcons. They both looked pretty good and have been kind of surprising. Eagles versus Buccaneers. Commanders versus Cardinals, Ravens versus Bills on Sunday night, and Seattle versus Detroit on Monday night. Those are kind of the ones that I thought were the better ones. Which games are you more excited about? If there was one that I didn't name that you want to talk about, you can go ahead. Nimmer, I'll start with you.
I mean, I'm a sucker for division games. I think the Saints and the Falcons are going to be a really good game. I think that the Falcons played two really tough teams with the Steelers, especially being the home opener, and then the Chiefs barely beating for their pass interference away from winning that game. Um, so I think their record really doesn't show how good they are, and I think the Saints blew out two bottom tier teams. And so this is going to be like a true test to see, all right, well, how good you are. And it's, this could be the deciding factor on who wins the division, even if it's this early into the season. I think that this will be kind of a transcender of where they are in the division. So I'm really looking forward to that game, and I think the Packers game. The Packers game is also another one, just to see if the Vikings are really that good. We'll see with the Packers that are also on a heat streak, hot streak.
Darren, which matchup are you excited for?
Yeah, there's a couple. Nimmer touched on one, being the Packers and Vikings. I mean, I think we're all surprised by the Vikings and how they're playing right now. So I want to see that defense. They're honestly the biggest draw for me is just how they're drawing everything up week in, week out, beating San Francisco, and just being 3-0, where we had them at the bottom of the barrel, where they should only win maybe 4 or 5 games max. So they're almost there. They're creeping up to it. So I'm really excited to see how they do, especially against the Packers, whose defense looks pretty good too. I think what do they just come off of 7 sacks against Tennessee, and several picks. So I mean, I love a good defensive competition. But the most exciting, I think, could be the same as last year's uh, matchup was the Seahawks Lions, where it was a shootout entire game. I don't know if it was last year or if it was the year before, but that game was so exciting. It was touchdown after touchdown. It was a close game. So I think with just how both teams are basically still built the same, and with the new coach for Seattle, I think it'd be really fun to see that matchup on Monday night.
Yeah, I'm excited for both of those matchups that you guys talked about, the Vikings and Packers. Um, if I'm the Packers, I'm not playing Jordan Love this week. Even if he's fully healed, I would not do that against that defense. That Saints Falcons game sounds really fun. I I'm trying to remember who I took in the ATS, but I feel like the Falcons might win this game. The Ravens Bills Sunday night, with the way that primetime games go, might be a stinker, but I feel like this game might be a shootout, with the Ravens really needing a win to get back on track, and with the Bills how many points they've kind of been putting up for the past couple weeks. I guess this might be one of the bigger tests for the Bills this year. If they can get a win on the Ravens, then I think a lot of people will start talking about them as if they are, one of the favorites in the AFC. So that'll be interesting to see. What do you guys think about that Sunday night game? You think it'll be a close game or no?
I think the Ravens blow them out in the first 3 quarters, and then Bill comes back and beats them. I think it's gonna be the
Wow.
exact same thing that's gonna happen in Dallas, and I think
Mm.
they're actually gonna finish it. Yeah, I don't know. But another game I just looked at the list is the Eagles and the Bucks, because the
Mm-hmm.
Bucks really like shat the bed last week, and
Yeah.
we'll see how good they are with the Eagles. So that was another interesting week. But yeah, I think that the yeah
Eagles defense kind of looked a lot better last week, so maybe they've turned a page.
hmm
They looked stronger last week. I like Zach Bond too. He's
Oh
been
yeah,
flying all over the field. Um, he came out of what, Wisconsin?
I'm
Um,
not sure. He's been an animal for them though.
Dude, he's been a fucking monster. I mean, I think he's top 5 in tackles already this season, but it's like every play, every stoppage, he's the one making the tackle. He's the last one getting up. Like,
Yeah.
dude's a dog.
they need somebody like that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, you looked at me. You think the Bills are gonna stomp on them? Do you guys think?
I
that
mean,
the
I don't
Bills-
think they'll stomp on them, but I think it'll be a relatively good game until like the fourth quarter. And I think the Bills are just a little bit stronger and will take it away and just win handedly, not like by a large margin, but they'll have control of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't say stomp. I think that the Ravens are gonna win by. I mean, lead into the fourth quarter by like 10 points, like a touch, like 2 scores, and then I think that the Bills are gonna come back.
I can't wait for that game. That's a perfect
Mhm.
primetime game. We've kind of been
Yeah.
complaining about the primetime game. Thank you for this one, the NFL.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think there's any upsets this week?
Upsets?
There was a couple. I mean, if you look at the
Yeah.
spread, the Vikings are, the Packers are favorited for the Vikings. I think that's gonna be. I think
That's
the
kinda
Vikings are
weird.
gonna do.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's kind of weird. I do think Vikings win this matchup, but it'll be a really close game.
And then
Yeah, that's gonna be a fun game.
I can see the Commanders winning, but
I think the Commanders could win.
And then yeah, I think that's really it. The teams that I
You think the
that-
Panthers beat the Bengals and the Bengals go 0-4?
Bro,
That would
all
be
hell
a-
is gonna break
a
loose if
twist.
that happens.
I feel like they have to win. The Bengals have to win. But whatever it is, like them saying they start slow, I think they just play down to their competition. So I could see them doing that again with the Panthers. I don't know why you would want to do that again. You would think you'd want to blow somebody out finally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And you have like one really good game against the Chiefs. You look like a pretty decent caliber team.
Like you can hang. I don't
Yeah.
understand.
you think they make the playoffs? Even though the stat is like only 4 teams have made the playoffs and stuff.
Have to be
Yeah.
0-3. Shit, that's
Yeah.
hard.
You
I
were
think they
saying
squeeze
that,
by. I think they fill up that last slot.
Darren, you were saying they're going to catch a hot streak from here on
Yeah,
out.
I don't know
Hey,
about the.
I did say they're going 0-2 or 0-3, and then a hot streak is gonna come.
Fair enough. This
There's
might be
asterisks.
the start of their hot streak.
Yeah, it
Started
just
off
gonna
with
be delayed
Carolina.
every week.
I think Dalton's going to come in there trying to really put a number on the Bengals because he used to play for Cincinnati.
Yeah, I can see that. That's gonna be another revenge game, which would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
He's coming out swinging. I'm telling. But we'll see. That should be another good one. Just with how
Yeah.
the Bengals have been playing, and Dalton had a really good week.
Yep. Really quickly, we'll talk about Brett Favre. He just spoke yesterday and said he was diagnosed with Parkinson's. Wish him the best. Wish him, all our prayers and thoughts. That is a tough disease, and wish him nothing but the best. I hope he can, do okay. And kind of with Parkinson's, you have to live with it. That's kind of the thing. It's a degenerative disease. So I just hope he can be happy, and continue to live his life. Do you guys want to talk about that real quick?
Damn,
Just
the
hope-
emotions that you just
I
had there,
know
man.
you're like getting choked up.
Yeah.
Right.
Ooh, about to get
Um,
me all
Yeah,
teary-eyed.
I just hope people don't forget how great of a player he was before, everything kind of happened off the field after he retired, because he was a really, really good quarter. Like, he was one of my favorite players in the league until, all the things that happened off the field after he retired and all that type of stuff. But you never want to see this happen to anybody. And like you said, I hope he just enjoys living life.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I mean, just growing up, he was one of the best QBs in the league. And then his whole controversy of going to the Vikings and then to the Jets and having that where he was at rival teams. I mean, it was excitement I mean, he made crazy plays here and there, but no, it's sad to hear that he had that diagnosis, and you really all you can hope is for the best for him. You know, find peace, be happy, and continue on his days as best as he possibly can. So it's unfortunate news to hear, but like Drew and Nim said, hopefully he just finds that peace, finds that happiness.
And with that, I know that was a little sad, but we are going to go to break. We will see you guys in 2 minutes. And welcome back to the Do Not Disturb Football Podcast. Make sure you guys are following us on all of our platforms. We are on Instagram, TikTok, X, and YouTube. We are live on both YouTube and TikTok. If you join the show on TikTok, like, share, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, like, share, subscribe. We love our viewers, and we appreciate you. Thank you for joining the ride. We are now getting into the fantasy football portion of our show. We are a fantasy football show. The first segment we have up today is the start and sit. So we will tell you one player who we think is going to have a good performance, and you should probably start them for this weekend, and a player that you should sit. Nimmer, why don't you go ahead and start?
So I think this week we kind of been smashing on the Browns. So I think that Davante Adams would be a person that you need to start. I know he hasn't had the greatest fantasy weeks, but looking at the Browns defense, they're 20th in scoring and 15th in passing yards. And when I saw this stat, I was actually very surprised. The Raiders are third in passing, which I did not know. So I think that they are definitely going to throw the ball a lot more. I think that there's like rumors going around in the internet that Davante Adams wants out. I think there was like a tweet that he tweeted that he wants like looking for a trade or saying goodbye or something like that. And so the best way to make a player happy is just keep feeding him the ball. And so I think that he's gonna do well this week. And for my sit, we kind of touched on this game a little bit. Any Packers receiver. I think that most of the Packers receivers I don't think the Packers are going to score more than maybe if they score 2 touchdowns, I'd be shocked. I think that Brian Flores' defense will definitely confuse. I was gonna say Will Levis, Willis. Will definitely confuse Willis. I think that Willis played the Colts, which we know doesn't have a good secondary, or it's a good secondary, and he only threw 122 yards that game with only 14 attempts, and he only threw 1 touchdown. Then last game, his revenge game, you would think that he'd be throwing a lot, but he only got 200 yards and barely got 200 yards with 19 attempts and only 1 touchdown. The Packers, we kind of mentioned it earlier before the season started, they don't have a true number one, and they're 22nd in passing. So it looks like this is going to be a sit for any Packers receivers.
Darian, who is your start and sit for the weekend?
Yeah, for my start is the Seattle Seahawks wide receivers. They're going up against Detroit secondary, who's ranked 31st against the pass, and they have been exceptionally bad against slot receivers. So, most notably to start is JSN. Almost said his name wrong, but Njigba should definitely be in your starting lineup, especially with how Detroit has been playing against slot receivers. I mean, look at the game against the Bucks where Godwin popped off for 22 or 23 points. I mean, just case in point there. Plus, Seattle's more of an air attack offense. I also think DK has a really good game. One that's, Mr. Consistent, but hasn't put up a lot of points this year is Lockett, so maybe fade him. But DK and JSN are definitely two folks that I would start in my lineups this week. When it comes to sit, we did kind of hint at the primetime game, Bills versus Ravens. I'm going to sit Zay in this one. I just have this feeling that Buffalo is just going to trap him and, just bracket him on defense, control how many yards and how many catches he's going to have. And I think they're going to rely on their defensive line to, stop the run and make Lamar run or make Derrick Henry run. So I don't think the passing game will be a big thing in this Bills-Ravens game. So I would definitely sit Zay Flowers in this one.
Yeah, that's an interesting take, the Zay Flowers take. I like it. But
what was that?
I said it's different. It's different.
I mean,
we'll go into
he
my
hasn't produced a lot, right? I mean, he's maybe.
I don't think he's had a lot of
cracked
touchdowns
15,
this year.
Yeah, I don't think he's cracked 15, so I get it.
My start this week is Dallas Goedert, the tight end from Philadelphia. If you watched the game last week with the Saints, Goedert really showed up in the fourth quarter for them. I think that is going to be something that the Eagles team noticed. I think that's something that Jalen Hurts noticed. With their situation right now, with A.J. Brown probably not playing this week, Devontae Smith, chance of not playing. I would imagine he's not playing with the hit that he took last week. Even Covey, their special teams guy who was kind of running in with the receivers, he's on IR now. So they're really down to like Jahan Dotson and Goddard. Really, those are the targets you're going to be seeing for the Eagles this week. I think Goddard is one of the most athletic tight ends in the league, and I think he's primed for a pretty big game against the Buccaneers. My sit, and if you know me, I'm not one to not criticize my team. I would sit any Broncos running backs. They are going up against the eighth ranked run defense in the league with the Jets. If you look at the numbers last week, Javonte had 5 carries and Jaleel had 5 carries. So then they won that game. So they're not putting up a bunch of carries, either of them. With this defense that they're playing this week, I don't see that being very good for them. Even, Jaleel had a touchdown last week, that was really the highlight of the day for the running backs. This running back group so far this year has kind of been disappointing. I wonder if Jaleel will take a step forward at some point, but it just seems like it's super committee, and Sean Payton doesn't really trust any of these guys. It seems like right now, and with that defense that they're facing this week, I think it's a bad matchup for any of those Broncos running backs, especially if Sean Payton's putting in a new running back every other play and not letting one get momentum. So that is our starts and sits. Now we are going to do the fantasy MVP. Yesterday we did the fantasy MVP recap from week 3. This is kind of who we're predicting to be the highest scores for this upcoming week. So Darian, I'll start with you. Who do you have as your fantasy MVP for this upcoming week?
Kind of a surprising take, I would say. But I'm going to ride with how bad Dallas's run defense has been. And I'm going Devin Singletary here. I think they continue the trend of multiple, I would say, plus 20 points given up to the running backs. Mozzie Smith and I forget the other defensive tackle that plays for Dallas. They're predominantly pass rushers. Same with Micah Parsons. He's a pass rusher. He's a threat when it comes to playing the sticks, trying to get into somebody's face, and they've been notoriously bad against the run. I mean, they gave up 151 yards to Derrick Henry last week and then 115 rushing yards to Alvin Kamara and 3 touchdowns, I might add, the week prior. So I'm not sold on this Dallas defense. Their run defense sucks. They're leaky, and I think Devin Singletary could have a pretty good and exceptional game against Dallas's run defense.
And Nimmer, who is your fantasy MVP? And my fantasy MVP is Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, he is questionable, so if he doesn't play, then take this take with a grain of salt. But I think with the way that the Washington secondary has looked all year, Marvin Harrison Jr. is primed for a big game against this defense. Terry McLaurin was playing well. I think you'll see that kind of a performance out of Marvin Harrison Jr., maybe even better. He will be going up against, I'm not even sure because Forbes is hurt. Who are the starters right now for Washington, Darian?
At safety, you have Derek Forrest, Quan Martin, who plays more nickel, Benjamin St-Juste, who's a slot. Other corner would be Sanistril, who does also move to slot, could be outside. I'm trying to think who the other corner is, like an actual true.
I mean, who are you confident in?
Confident?
Yeah. Nobody. That's why I'm taking Marvin Harrison Jr. as my fantasy MVP this week.
Yeah, the only one would be St-Juste. I like St-Juste. He had a better game this past week, but should shape out. but he's probably going to be covering Dortch and maybe Harrison. That's a stretch in Harrison, though.
Yeah, Harrison's been showing some flashes that he's going to be a very dominant receiver at some point in this league. He's had some really good games. I think this game is one that he should probably circle. That secondary is one of the weaker ones in the league, and I think he's primed for a big game. Now, our next segment is players on the rise. So this could be a player that we think is like on the verge of exploding, having like really big performances, or there's someone that's just steadily climbing and maybe we think they're going to slightly improve over the next coming weeks. So Nimmer, I'll start with you. Who is your player on the rise?
So I've been preaching his name for the beginning of the season, and that's Rico Dowdle. I think that with Zeke being as old as he is, I think that he's really trying, or they're really going to try to really work him out into the offense. This past game, he had 2 times as many carries as Zeke. Granted, they're just coming from behind, so they only ran the ball like 13 times or something like that. But he had 8 out of the 13, and Zeke only had 4. He has more carries in general this year, 23, and Zeke only has 19. He has more catches. He has 8, and Zeke has, I think, like 3 or 4. And then and the snaps in general. He has 95 total snaps, and Zeke only has 75 total snaps. So look out. Dallas isn't going to be a big running team, but especially with your running backs going into buys and stuff like that, I definitely would grab him from waiver wires, and I can definitely see him exploding in the middle tail end of the week. I think that he's going to be like the next Tony Pollard, the Dallas Tony Pollard, where he's not going to be named the starter, but he's still going to come in and wreak havoc.
Darren, who do you got on the rise?
Yeah, on the rise, kind of just like you're thinking Cardinals, but I'm thinking Michael Wilson here. If you can see from the past 2 games, he only was targeted twice in week 1, week 2, but then last week had a whopping 9 targets, and he caught 8 of them for 64 yards. So with Marvin Harrison being questionable, McBride being questionable with a concussion, those target share percentage has to be allocated somewhere else, and I think that would be Wilson in this regard. Plus, he's only put up 1 touchdown, which was in week 1, and I think he's a better, I wouldn't say red zone threat, but he is a red zone threat for the Cardinals when they're driving it in. So I do think he is on the rise. He's due for more targets, and he should get red zone targets as well.
And I'm picking another player with a questionable injury this week, but I'm going to go with Bucky Irving from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I kind of alluded to this yesterday. He has been getting close to 8 to 10 carries a game and has been kind of racking up close to 60 yards per game as the backup. Todd Bowles came out, I think, either yesterday or today, and said he's a heck of a football player and he's earned his way for more opportunities. To me, that means that Rachaad White's going to be losing some opportunities, and maybe Bucky Irving is going to be looking to get like more than a 50-50 share with Rachaad White at some point this season. I would think probably later in the season that'll happen. But I think Bucky Irving is on the rise. He looks really good, very explosive back. And now we have the ATS segment. So this is against the spread. Spreads are kind of explained in a way that if you look at this first line, Cowboys and Giants, Cowboys are favored by 4.5 points. If the Giants were to lose by less than 4.5 points, they would cover. If the Cowboys were to win by more than 4.5 points, the Cowboys would cover. It's crazy because I started with a record at the bottom, and now I'm looking down at you guys. So, hello.
Still early, my friend. Still early. Honestly, these past couple of weeks have been crazy. There's been so many just like how is this team beating this team? It's just been insane.
So let's go through these matchups. Cowboys at Giants. Nimmer, why don't you start? Who you got covering here?
Yeah, I mean, I know the Cowboys haven't been doing well, but I think the Giants they just haven't been playing anybody. So I think the Cowboys are going to win by at least 5.
Darren, who you got?
Yeah, if the Cowboys can stop the run game, I think they can handle this, and I think they've put it together against the Giants, who I think is a uh, worse team, and I do think they do. Dallas covers this, and they win by a touchdown.
Yeah, I've got the Cowboys covering. I almost went Giants. I'm not going to lie. I thought that maybe the Giants could keep it close in this game. But just given the history with how the Cowboys have played the Giants, I think that they could easily win by 7 to 10 points. So I'm going to take the Cowboys to cover. Saints at Falcons. We have a team that we all were pretty surprised with the Saints. And the Falcons, who've been pretty surprising, have kept it close with teams like the Chiefs, have a nice functioning offense from what it looks like so far. So, Nimmer, who do you have covering here?
I'm actually changing it as you're speaking. I had the Saints, but I really like the Falcons. I think that they're starting to get the groove a little bit more. And the Saints really haven't played anybody. I mean, they played Philly, but they ended up losing and didn't score 40 points. So I think that it's going to be the same thing with the Falcons.
Darren, who you got?
I'm gonna stay true. I'm not going to be swayed. I think the Saints are just a better team overall. I love the Saints defense, and their offense is just as explosive. So I think they cover this one.
And then why don't you drag my D over to the Falcons? I'm going to change my mind.
Oh, drag your D, all right. Yep.
Oh, yeah, drag my D. But
Craziness.
I'm going to go with the Falcons in this matchup. I like the way their offenses looked. And yeah, I'll drag my D that way anyway. Any day of the week.
I'm
So
telling Sammy.
Rams at Bears. Rams had a pretty surprising win against the Niners last week in a last second fashion. So let me hear who you guys got. Darren, I'll start with you. Who do you have covering here for the Rams at the Chicago Bears?
Give me the Rams because, God, I'm being burnt by this Bears offense. They can't do anything. Oh, it's abysmal to watch. It hurts because I'm a DJ Moore fan. He needs to go to a place where he can thrive. But, yeah, I got the Rams taking this one.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna. I had the Rams, but I don't know why I'm changing it to the Bears. I think that this is gonna be Caleb Williams' game. I think the Rams' defense isn't that good, and I think that the Bears' defense is a lot better than the Rams' offense. So that equation equals Bears win.
Yeah, I can see your point there, Nim. I'm
Do you want me to
gonna
drag
take
your
the
D
Rams
again or no?
Nah,
Okay.
no,
Okay.
let's keep my D over there. I'm gonna take the Rams. I think, I trust in Stafford more than I trust in the Bears offense. They seem to not really have like an identity right now. It seems like they don't really know what to do with their running backs. DeAndre Swift hasn't really been performing well. Their offensive line is struggling, and Caleb Williams is holding on to the ball for a long time. So I'm going to take the Rams. I think Caleb Williams will be looking at Stafford and saying, man, that's a real pro right there. So maybe not, though.
Well,
with
we
the
probably
way
won't
that
say anything and just freaking give him his shoulder
Yeah.
and just walk away like a little bitch, but whatever.
Stafford should just walk up to him after the game and flip him off, put his middle finger right into his
He
face
should
mask.
just paint the middle finger and just says like "fuck you" and then just go like that.
Vikings at the Packers, one of the most historic rivalries probably in the league. Who do you got covering here, Darian?
Man, this is the one game that I'm super excited for. Like we talked about earlier, I'm gonna ride the Vikings train. I think I want to see them go 4-0. I think that would be sick, and to do it against a division rival with the Packers, yeah, I think that's awesome. So I got the Vikings taking this one, or covering, I should say.
Who you got, Nim?
Yeah, I agree. The fact that they're underdogs and they're 4-0 is so disrespectful. I think the defense is really going to confuse Micah. What's his name?
Malik Willis.
Malik Willis. Yeah, I knew it was an M.
Micah.
Micah Willis. No, Malik Willis. I think that he hasn't seen a defensive scheme like this, and I think that he's gonna really struggle against this defense.
Man, how times have changed. We were talking so badly about the Vikings, but we are all taking the Vikings to cover this game against the Packers. I think even if Jordan Love started this game, I think the Vikings would win this game in Green Bay. Honestly, I'm hoping that Aaron Jones gets a touchdown and does a Lambeau leap, and we'll see how that goes.
I forgot this is his revenge game.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Damn.
Steelers at Colts. Steelers eyeing a 4-0 record against a Colts team that has been struggling. Anthony Richardson has been really struggling. Who do we have covering here, Nimmer? I'll start with you, since you're the Steelers fan.
Yeah, I'm never going against the Steelers, but I am kind of nervous about this game because I think yesterday Mike Tomlin said that Highsmith is going to be out. So whenever TJ Watt is a monster, don't get me wrong, but TJ Watt is only a monster when he has somebody on the other side. When we went 10-0, he had what's his name? I think he's on the Titans now or somewhere, but he was a monster as well. Highsmith's a great Robin to his Batman.
Oh, Dupree.
Huh?
I was going to say, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dupree. And then literally the game he got hurt, the next game, that's when the losing streak happened. And so that it is kind of scary to see that Highsmith is out because he's just as valuable as TJ Watt. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going against my Steelers. But I am glad our offense is finally clicking. Just had to say that.
Yep. Darren, who do you got?
Yeah, I think you said it best at the beginning. The Colts, even Richardson, just been struggling, and Steelers have looked pretty good, and especially having Fields being the starter. So I got the Steelers in this one.
Yeah, I took them last week. I'm taking them again this week. I got the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think they start 4-0.
I don't like this. I don't like that we're everybody's going against the Steelers. I like some adversity.
Broncos at Jets. Man, I fucking wish the Broncos would win this game, but I just don't see it happening. So, Darren, I'll start with you. Who do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the game against the Bucks was a pretty good game. But yeah, I mean, when you look at the Jets, that Jets defense is a lot stronger than the Bucks defense. I got to go Jets in this one, and they win by a touchdown for sure.
I agree. I mean, I think the Buccaneers defense was kind of not flawed, was exposed by the Broncos, but the Jets defense is not going to be is really, really good, as you saw on Thursday night. So I think that the Jets are going to run all over them.
Yeah, you better run, Vanilla Vic. You better run.
Yeah.
Eagles at Buccaneers. Buccaneers probably looking to bounce back against the Eagles since they just lost to the Broncos last week. Number, who do you got in this game?
I have the Bucks. I don't know. It was on the Buck. I mean, I have the Eagles. I don't know why it was on the Bucks, but I definitely think the Eagles are a more superior team. I think the Bucks are kind of hitting that wall.
Darren, who do you have covering here?
I think this is a really good line with just how the Eagles have been playing, and also, like you guys mentioned, Devontae could be out. They lost A.J. Brown, so they're dealing with Saquon, Goddard, and Jahan Dotson as their offense, and they better run through Saquon against this Bucks defense. But I think, with that being said, it's a good line. I do think that Philadelphia covers and could possibly win by a field goal, just like they beat the Saints.
I think it's gonna be a
Yeah, a lot
very
of-
similar game than the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of injuries in this game. Darian mentioned the receivers that are hurt for the Eagles. On the other side, Vita Vea is hurt for the Buccaneers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this could be a big game for Saquon Barkley, and I think it's probably going to have to be if you're going to want to win this game if you're the Eagles. So I'm going to take the Eagles to cover here. Now we got the Bengals at
The Bengals,
Panthers.
baby. Bengals.
Oh my god.
Bengals. Bengals.
I
Hey,
hate my brain.
If it makes you feel better, Nim, they don't see that on TikTok. They can't see the
Yeah.
board, so
Don't go to YouTube.
yeah. Let's talk about who we got covering in this game. Nimmer, why don't you start, Mr. Bengals?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Bengals. The Bengals. I think that this is a must-win for them, and I don't think. I think the Panthers did really well last week, but it was also against the Raiders defense, and the Raiders offense isn't as good as the Bengals offense. So I think that the Bengals are. I think it'll be a shootout. I probably would take the over on this, but I can't take the Panthers on this.
Who you got, Darian?
Yeah, I agree. I think the Bengals beat the Panteras, and it'll be.
No, I spelled that right.
Just kidding. I'm
motherfucker.
kidding. I was just trying to-
I had to double check. I was like, "There's no way I misspelled from Panthers."
No, I think it's a must-win scenario for the Bengals, and no other way to do it than the Panthers. Honestly,
You know what's funny? I'm sorry, but before you go, what's gonna be funny is if the Bengals blow them out, we're all gonna be like, "The Bengals might go. The Bengals are gonna be so good." Blah 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 blah. After one game, even though they're 1-3.
Yeah, I won't
streak.
be saying that, but
the streak.
Darian might.
Yeah, the streak. Who do they have after this? Go ahead.
Not sure. I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm gonna say the Panthers cover here. I don't like what I've been seeing out of the Bengals. I think I kind of alluded to it earlier. I think Andy Dalton's gonna come out swinging. So I'm gonna say the Bengals win, but only by a field goal, and the Panthers cover. And I think their offense is gonna look kind of sluggish because they'll think that they're back on track offensively and then could get off to a slow start, and that won't fix itself because they're the Bengals. Jaguars at Texans. We have the Jaguars who just got absolutely blown out, probably the most embarrassing loss of the year so far. Nimmer, who do you have covering in this game?
Yeah, I can't pick the Jags after that loss. And then I think this is going to be the Texans' vengeance game.
Yeah,
Darian,
100%.
who do you got?
Yeah, it's Texans. It's their revenge game, like Nim said. I mean, getting beat handily by the Vikings, you got to take it out on the Jaguars. The division matchup, who just got swamped by the Bills. Yeah, you capitalize on that. So I got the Texans in this one.
I'm going Texans as well. Jaguars stink. Commanders at Cardinals. Commanders coming off of an impressive win against the Bengals last week, and the Cardinals. I'm not really sure what to make of them so far. Really, who do you have covering here, Darian?
Man, this is where I'm gonna start my delusional fandom for the Commanders again. They gave me a glimpse of hope. I didn't think they would beat the Bengals, but here I am. I'm going to put trust in them. They cover this against the Cardinals.
Hey, that's what I like to hear, Darian. Nimmer, who do you got?
Isn't Didn't Jaden Daniels go to ASU? So isn't he returning to Arizona?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of cool. But I don't think it's gonna help. I think the Cardinals are gonna cover. I think that they're gonna win by at least 7. I think they'll. I probably have a touchdown on them.
Kind of seems like it's going to be a high scoring game with kind of what you've seen out of both of these teams. I'm going to take the Cardinals just because I like the weapons more for the Cardinals. Patriots at 49ers. I mean, if the Niners lose this game, I don't know how that will happen. But Nimmer, who do you got covering here?
So I agree. I think the Niners are going to win, but 9.5, even 10.5 in some books, that's a lot of points. Especially the way that they played against the Bronco. I mean the Rams, and Purdy is not feeling the best with all their injuries and stuff like that. It's hard to give them 10 points. I think the Niners win, but I think it's going to be maybe a field goal, a touchdown maybe. I don't think it's going to be 10. And the Patriots defense, I mean, they still did really good in the first couple weeks. So besides this past week, they are still legit. So I think that they cover.
Darren, who do you got covering?
Honestly, I think the Rams are a better team than the Patriots. I mean, we talked about it earlier this year. I gotta say the 49ers cover this, especially taking two heartbreaking losses back to back. Yeah, they're coming out all cylinders. With whoever they got, they're coming out. So I got them covering.
Yeah, with the Vikings 2 weeks ago, I don't think anyone saw that win coming for the Vikings. So, that was just a good game plan by the Vikings. The Rams, they see the Niners all the time. So I think you can have a chance in a game when you're playing them all the time. And I think that the Patriots kind of got exposed against the Jets. They're missing a lot of pieces. This is not a very good team. I'm taking the Niners to cover here, even though that is a lot of points, and it kind of scares me a little bit. Browns at Raiders. So I don't really know what to make of this game. I wouldn't touch this if I was betting, for sure. Number, who do you got covering?
Yeah, I think the Browns are in shambles, and I think that the Raiders are going to come out with this.
Darren, who do you got?
Bro, that Browns offense sucks. It's simple. I got the Raiders in this one.
Yeah, the Browns, they're dealing with too many injuries, I think. So I'm going to go with the Raiders, even though they just got kind of embarrassed by the Panthers. Chiefs at Chargers. There's a chance that Herbert doesn't play in this game. And there is a 100% chance that Derwin James is not going to play in this game. So, Chiefs at Chargers. Remember, who do you got covering here?
I like the Chiefs just because I think they're definitely the better team, and I think that they should win by 7.5. But I mean, odds show this is another game that I'm not touching the spread or anything like that, just because Patrick Mahomes. I think there's like a stat where like Patrick Mahomes doesn't do good when he's favored by 7 or more, or something like that. So that kind of scares me. But the Chiefs should definitely beat the Chargers by a lot. Without Derwin James, Herbert's hurt. I mean,
yeah. Darren, who do you got?
Yeah, I made this decision before I saw that Herbert was questionable or probably not going to play.
Do you want me to move your D?
No. I want my D to stay on the Chargers. They play ball control football. I mean, if you soak up the clock and waste it and don't give Patrick Mahomes the time to make plays, I mean, that's a winning recipe right there. Just score and hold on to the ball and get at least 1, maybe 2 stops. That's all you got to do. So
see, I can see it going both ways. I can see them blowing out, and Patrick Mahomes finally has a good game for his first game this season and just completely going insane, or I can definitely see that happening where the Chargers just don't give him time to get the rhythm or anything like that.
I'll put a caveat on my pick. If Justin Herbert decides to play, I'm going to change it and I'm going to go to the Chargers. But I don't think he's going to play. I think it's going to be Taylor Heineke out there for the Chargers, which isn't the worst option. But, he's been on like 5 different teams the past 4 years. So it's not like he's Aaron Rodgers by any means. So I'm going to take the Chiefs to cover here. Bills at Ravens, the Sunday night game. Bills coming off a absolute demolition against the Jaguars, and the Ravens escaping the Cowboys and looking pretty underwhelming this year. Darian, who do you have covering here?
I think we were talking about earlier. I got the Bills, and I think they do cover. I think it could be by a field goal or at most probably a touchdown.
And then who do you got covering?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a close game. I think that the Bills are gonna win by. I don't know if the Bills. I don't know, because it's like I feel like this is kind of a trap game because there's 2 3-0 teams that are underdogs. Like there has to be something kind of that seems a little fishy to me. But I like the Bills. This is going to be a true test because they really haven't played anybody. So, but I think that that Josh Allen is going to win MVP, and this is going to be the game where he does it.
They're undefeated so far, right? The Bills?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Them and the Vikings are undefeated, but they're underdogs. It just doesn't make sense.
That's weird. I'm gonna take the Bills too.
And the Seahawks.
I think.
Quick. Sorry.
I think that if the Bills do win this game, I think the media is really gonna fall in love with this Bills team after this. This will be the team that everyone's like, "Oh, the Bills are gonna be so good. They're gonna win the Super Bowl this year." I think that'll be the knee-jerk reaction you see from the media after this week.
Imagine. Oh my God. Imagine if the Bills win the Super Bowl. That would be insane. Even go first in the division would be insane. With no wide receivers, everybody was like, "Oh, they don't have a receivers." They're me included. That would be wild.
Titans at Dolphins. So I heard that McDaniel said that Tyler Huntley it's a big possibility he's going to be starting this game because Skylar Thompson got hurt that last game. So you have Will Levis versus Tyler Huntley. I know who I'm picking. Darian, why don't you start? Who you have covering here?
I mean, you could say the Titans defense could hold the Dolphins, but this is kind of a pick'em game. I mean, what is that? 0.5?
0.5.
Yeah, I mean, I just like the tangibles for the Dolphins a little bit better than the Titans, especially with Will Levis playing QB, who's got 3 meme quality photos in every game. So give me a 4th one. Give me the Dolphins.
Number, who do you got?
I am just pretty disappointed that this is a Monday Night Football. Put this in the afternoon. Why? Even with Tua, why are we doing the Titans and Dolphins? It just doesn't make sense.
Just watch the other game.
Yeah, I guess. But I'm actually gonna choose the Titans. I think that Will Levis. I think that it's gonna be a low-scoring game. I don't think that either offense is gonna do well, but I think that the Titans are gonna hold them, and I think Will Levis just isn't gonna make a stupid mistake for once.
Well, I think you will. I see a pick 6 coming from Jalen Ramsey this week. If Jair Alexander did it, I could see it happening again for Jalen Ramsey. Will Levis, you got a long career of mayonnaise advertisements coming up for you. I think this this is not looking good. This season is not looking good for you.
Mayonnaise man.
Mayonnaise man. And he puts mayonnaise in his coffee. Is that what it is?
Yeah, he already has that. He already has one advertisement with I'm not even sure who the big mayo companies are.
Thinks of that. Like, what? That doesn't make sense. Who thinks, coffee and mayonnaise? Let me just throw this in there and,
I
let me
can't
see
even
how it
imagine that tastes good.
That's so disgusting. Ugh, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gross.
I want to change my pick.
Seahawks. Oh yeah, Seahawks at Lions. Lions are favored by 4.5 points. This will be in Detroit. Never. Who do you got covering here?
I am picking the. I was trying to see who have the Seahawks played so far.
Patriots.
Looking at their schedule right now. Patriots, Dolphins, and the Broncos.
Dolphins, yeah.
So all three of those teams have losing records. So I'm going to pick the Lions.
Darren, who do you got?
I think I originally picked the Lions in this one, but I keep thinking about that shootout from last year, and it could possibly be the same. And with a spread of 4.5, I'm gonna switch from the Lions, drag my D, and put it on the Seahawks.
Damn, I'm just dragging all the D's today. It's like I'm like
Come on, man.
Diddy.
A lot of Dragon D's over here.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna go Lions.
So where's the baby oil?
That's crazy work. Diddy got it all.
I'm going Lions. I think if this was a bigger spread, I would go Seattle. Like if it was like a 7-point spread, I'd go Seattle. But this is only a 4.5 spread, so I'm gonna go Lions to cover here. And I guess I picked Seattle originally.
Yeah,
I
you
didn't
did.
mean
It's
to.
okay. It's all right.
I didn't mean to.
We've been changing it all day, so I've been just dragging the D's and the N's all over.
That was a silent D drag. Anyways, we have Nimmer's Locks of the Weeks. He's been giving out some free money for the people watching. What do you have for us this week, Nim?
Yeah, so my locks of the week, I really like I said, the Bills and the Vikings. I feel like those, maybe not the Bills, but the Vikings probably is my lock of the week. When it comes to the spread, it does seem like a trap, so I'm kind of hesitant, but I feel like I'm pretty confident in that. So I have 3 parlays for you guys. I have an unders parlay. So I think this week is going to be the first week where we have a lot of offenses, but I don't think they're going to come from these games. I think that the division matchup between the Saints and the Falcons, that's going to be under 42. The Chiefs and the Chargers, I don't think that, especially if Herbert is out, the Chargers offense is going to do that well. Or like I said, on the flip side, the Chargers just try to keep the ball away from Patrick Mahomes. That's causing the under. And then the Patriots and Niners, Purdy's banged up. The Patriots have a pretty good defense. The Niners have a good defense. I think that this goes under. And if everybody else is right, that the Niners blow out the Patriots, I don't see them scoring on that Niners defense that too many points. So the unders should hit as well. So that's my unders parlay. Then I have an anytime touchdown parlay. I really like all 3 of these guys. I like Nico Collins. I think that he's going to excel this week. I also like CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb has scored a touchdown 10 out of the 13 games. And I don't think he got a touchdown last game. So I think that they're really going to be itching. I'll take him to score a touchdown with the Giants defense. And then I like Brian Robinson. He has scored a touchdown in the last 7 out of the 8 road games. And Breece Hall has scored a touchdown in 6 straight games. So let's parlay them all together and win some money. And then last but not least, I was going to end there, but then I also wanted to kind of have a Hail Mary parlay. Threw up a 10 leg parlay. I like DJ Moore. I think that I know. So $1 wins us 44K. So if this hits, we're in good shape, boys. But I like, huh? What'd you say? Us, yeah, because as a community, I know people are going to be following my bets. So then when they follow, they're also going to win this 44K. So it's on the screen right now on TikTok. I'll read it out to you. I have DJ Moore. Rams secondary sucks. I like Mike Evans. I think that the Eagles corners aren't going to really stop him. Tyler Conklin, I think that's going to be Aaron Rodgers check down. George Pickens, the Colts secondary sucks. Raheed Shaheed, I don't have confidence in anybody but him in that Saints offense, and Kamara. So I think he's going to pop off, especially the fact that he got 0 fantasy points. I think this is going to be kind of a bounce back game. Michael Wilson, kind of Darian touched on him earlier. Travis Kelce, I think this is going to be a bump up game for him. I think Chargers are ranked 32nd in against the tight ends. So I think this is going to be the time where he actually catches a ball and scores more than 10 points. Alexander Madison, good pickup Ricky. I told you guys to pick him up yesterday, didn't follow my own advice, and now Ricky got him. And he's actually, I think he's going to be the red zone target for the Raiders. Dalton Kincaid, Drew's second favorite player. I think that this is going to be the only reliable source that the Bills have, and the Ravens also suck against tight ends. And then last but not least, I think Jalen Waddle. I would Jalen Waddle or Tyreek Hill, one of those two. But I like Jaden Waddle. I can see him catching a slant in the end zone. So that is my Hail Mary. Please gamble responsibly. The first 2 parlays I probably would do maybe half a unit. And then that last one I probably would just throw like $1. If you're a big baller, I'd go 5 or 10, but don't put too much into that last one. And back to you, Drew.
And imagine we come back Monday and Nimmer's $44,000 richer.
Happy days, brother.
I know, right? Except taxes, I'm only gonna get like 20K from it, but I'll take the 20K.
20K up from $1. Yeah. Shit,
I'll take it.
Well, that is everything from us today. We gave you quite a lot of fantasy football talk. Check the waiver wire report we did yesterday. Check that out. I'm sure there's still names that we talked about that are still out there for you to go and grab. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, X. Thank you for joining us, the TikTok community. Thank you for joining us on the YouTube community. This has been a great time. Any words before we get out of here, boys?
No, just can't wait. Like I said, it's pumpkin season, and I do want to shout out Samantha for sending us a lightning. That's our first ever gift as a channel. So, I don't really know what that means, but shout out to her. I saw that in, YouTube or in TikTok, and boys, we had 232 likes on this stream in TikTok. So, thanks for liking. Yeah. So thanks for liking, you guys. Thanks for following. And welcome to the TikTok. Welcome our TikTok community.
I mean, I couldn't have said it better, honestly, man. No, it feels good to be both on YouTube and on TikTok Live. We hit 1,000 followers on TikTok. I believe it was a week before last, which is huge, especially with us starting out. So we thank you guys for tuning in, hitting the like, hitting the subscribe button. It means a lot to us, and we love to, pour back into you and provide these these episodes and other content for you as well. So if you have any questions, I know some of us are going to hop on live here and there before games. So if you have trade questions, you have any trade rumors for your teams in your leagues, feel free to comment, question. We'll answer them. Even outlooks for games, live during games. So super excited for the engagement that we have going for you guys soon.
Yeah, I think that's going to start up next week. My wife's birthday is this week, so probably we're going to shut that one down for this week. But we'll we'll start
When
that
is it?
next
Is it
week.
Saturday? When is it?
Her birthday is tomorrow.
Ooh,
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Sammy.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Sammy. This podcast, this episode was dedicated to you. We will roll out of here. Have a great weekend. Let's all tune into some of these great matchups we have coming up. And next week, I'm going to the Penn State game.
Ooh.
That should be fun.
Penn State versus UCLA.
Ooh. That should be a fun one.
Yes, sir. So, thank you for joining in on TikTok. Thank you for joining in on YouTube. Have a good weekend.